Hey, how are you? I just got your email. I'm not using names for privacy's sake. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I have two ways to go in your case. But the reason why this is complex, or should I say, I think that the complexity of this case isn't so readily apparent. That's why it's great to get an opinion from an experienced orthodontist. If you try to do this at home with a home aligner system or with any kind of practitioner who didn't know their stuff, there could be problems. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. It's really deceptive because, as you stated in your email, your concern is pretty much just this gap right over here. And I went through your mouth and I pointed out some other things that can be left as they are, no problem. But I will point out again that you have major bonding on these teeth, which I'm assuming was from perhaps childhood trauma. That bonding is extending to your teeth quite a bit of structure, but it's kind of wearing down. If you look at the shape of these teeth, you see how it kind of, there's a bit of a concavity right in this area here. That's where the tooth is. This is where the bonding is. And look at how the bonding is wearing down. At some point, this bonding is going to need to be replaced. Now, you could push that down the road. We could forget about that for now, although I did want to add one other thing. You have more than this space because really there's a gap between these two teeth that's being hidden by the shape of the bonding. You see how it swings out here? So that's an artificial closure. Now, to close this space up all the way, there are two ways to kind of at least diminish it. You mentioned to me secondarily the lower crowding that you have is also concerning you, but not majorly concerning you, I think, if that's fair to restate your words. So let's talk about the gap here. If we only tried to reduce that space, we could not treat the lower, we could treat the upper, and what I could do is slide this tooth over to diminish the space. While we're doing that, I think I would rotate this tooth out, which is a little bit in. Slide this over. Also a little bit move this tooth over here because this tooth is kind of pushed back this way. And then what the green indicates is remaining space. Very, very small space in all these areas. Now, you may think, well, can we do it without closing the space? But as I stated earlier, the complexity of this case is that your lower teeth are pushed right up against your upper teeth. And what that means is you cannot move any of these teeth inward, which is kind of what you need to do to decrease the space all the way. And then I'm going to actually split the screen and show you the previous plan that I have. Where is that? Let's see here. Bear with me. Okay, now, what I didn't show you before is on the lower teeth. You mentioned the crowding. Here it is, and here you see it here. But it's crowded because everything is narrowed in. Over time, the way you breathe, the muscles of your face constrict the arch. To make the lower straight, what we must do is broaden this arc laterally and forward. But doing that will not work with closing the upper space reliably because we'd be pushing in on the upper to close the space and out on the lower. That's why we'd have to do what's called intraproximal reduction on the lower. And we can go that route, but it might lead to some discomfort with your bite, which also could make your jaw uncomfortable. And so that way we have to proceed carefully, and I can't give you any guarantees. So that was your question, and I maybe can't give you the answer that you want. It would be very simple for a less experienced Invisalign practitioner to say, oh yeah, that's a small space. We can close it, and we can get your lower teeth straight. But the risk is that your lower teeth would come out, the upper would constrict in, and then you would end up with an uncomfortable bite. Now, there are adjustments that we can make for that, and we could maybe even do more of the filing on the bottom, and we can go that way. I'm not advising against it, but I want to again point out that your teeth have certain compromise to them. And I understand that you don't want to do a whole kind of big job and you want to avoid restorations. This plan would at least address your main concern, and this space would barely be noticeable. I think you could keep it clean, and it would be less expensive than going with the full mouth. But if the full mouth is what you want, I think you should be open. And you can, when I say be open, you could pause, get some other opinions, not do this treatment. But I think ultimately widening the lower and the upper, and then having veneers or crowns on your front 4 to 6 teeth would just be, not only look amazing, but it would also protect your teeth in a way, because your teeth have a lot of compromise from whatever that prior trauma was, if I'm guessing correctly. So this is about as much time as I can spend on your case at this juncture. I hope you appreciate that I spent a lot of time on it just to give you the information as a patient in the office. And if you want to talk more about it, we could have perhaps an office visit and go further with it. Let me know what questions you have. I can answer another follow-up email if you have one.